Okay, I need to go to... Okay, that doesn't seem to be working. Why? Right. Why isn't that working? Be back in a second. I hope everyone has a good night or good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. I will be probably streaming tomorrow again. Probably don't know what I'll be streaming though, but we'll see. All right. Hope everyone has a good night or good afternoon or good morning, and I'll catch you on the next stream. Thank you, Wigman. Closing. Winery is done. Okay, now the next is CF Boy. And now the next is Doronia. Is this a happy creation? Oh, there's a bit of a bleed on top of the Doro ball. So this is the mirror hole. Oh wow, it dips. Dips. Hey, that's all right. Oh. All right. I think I've got everything correct. I am streaming, I believe, at 1080p 60. So, but yeah, okay. All right, I think I am streaming at 1080p 60. So I've set my A6300 to 1080p 60. The top-down camera I don't think has the ability to do 1080p 60. Although I hope everyone has a good night or good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. I will be probably streaming tomorrow again. Probably don't know what I'll be streaming though, but we'll see. All right. Hope everyone has a good night or good afternoon or good morning, and I'll catch you on the next stream. Thank you, Wigman. Alright, I think it should be fine. It's hard to tell from this camera. I am 1/60 for the shutter speed, 60p. Top down. It's an older camera, so probably won't even recognize it. And here, I forgot to change this one. I hope everyone has a good night or good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. I will be probably streaming tomorrow again. Probably don't know what I'll be streaming though, but we'll see. All right. Hope everyone has a good night or good afternoon or good morning, and I'll catch you on the next stream. Thank you, Wigman. Closing. Winery is done. Okay, now the next is CF Boy. The next is Darwin. Okay, let's check now. It's still no. All right, let me. I hope everyone has a good night or good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. I will be probably streaming tomorrow again. Probably don't know what I'll be streaming though, but we'll see. All right. Hope everyone has a good night or good afternoon or good morning, and I'll catch you on the next stream. Thank you, Wigman. Closing. Winery is done. Okay, now the next is CF Boy. All right, let's try one more time. No. So I don't know what's causing this. I am getting quite a bit of motion blur. This is the Sony X3000. I have changed it back to NTSC. It could be the actual ingest settings. Yeah, it's 30. Let's go 60. All right. Yep. All right. That's smoother. Let's check the ingest settings for the RX10. 60. All right. Let's head back over to the main cameras. Okay, so face, there's a bit of motion blur there. Top down, fisheye. All right, it's a lot more smoother and not as stuttery, I think. Okay, we are back. This is the first time I'm utilizing 1080p 60 during the stream as well. So earlier today I was testing out an app. I was testing out multiple items. I was testing out a HDMI capture device plugged into a Samsung S21Ultra, and then I was using a app called USBCameraPro, which allows me to ingest the video from the HDMI capture. Now, the HDMI capture device itself does have a USB-C power delivery port, which allows for pass-through charging. So the phone was charging or kept up to charge during the entire 2-hour stream earlier today. And so we have USBCameraPro, which is a paid one-time payment app. And then we have Bond Bunny, which is a free app available on Android only. Now, what Bond Bunny allows is to take in the SRT stream from the USBCameraPro app and then relays it into a SRT LA stream, which then utilizes the link aggregation of internet bonding of those services that are connected to the same smartphone, in this case the S21 Ultra. Now, in a recent update, Moblink was added as a feature on the Bond Bunny app. So I was able to utilize an iPhone running Moblin with the Moblink set to relay mode, and the Android phone was able to pick up that Moblink connection. So I was able to utilize 3 internet connections IRL. 2 of those connections were over Wi-Fi. So, hooray. So it worked. Hey Andy, yeah, sorry I'm late. Had to get other things done and get some things ready. So one of those things was to get this bad boy up and running. So this is a Sony ZV-1 with a power bank, and then on the very top is a HDMI transmission device on a gimbal. And this particular gimbal is the it's the Hohem MT2. Now, what's unique about this particular gimbal is designed for mirrorless cameras, but it also has a AI tracking module here. So this will be a camera that I'll be using for today's test. And let me just 1, 2, 3 put this back down. Come on. All right. So what I am currently testing, some of these gimbals, depending on what you get. So this one, the Hohem, essentially is a lightweight gimbal. With everything that I put on it, it adds more weight to your hand, so you're going to have to make sure you are working out. All right, let's go top down. All right, so this is a device that I have tested in the past, but not necessarily tested for today's configuration. So this here is the IO Data GV-LSU 200, but a similar product that is available, I believe, right now is the J5 Create JVA 06, I believe. Let me see if I can find it. Amazon. Shopping. So unfortunately, the J5 Create version of this particular dual HDMI video switcher actually doesn't exist in Australia. So yeah. But the version that I got, this one here, I got from Amazon Japan, IO Data LSU 200. This one. Yep. So this is a very similar product to the J5 Create version. Again, I don't know where I'm able to find that on the market, at least within Australia. But I'll walk through the features. So we have, first of all, we have 2 HDMI inputs, HDMI A, HDMI B. And then if we move across, we have some levels here, audio levels, as well as some switches to turn or enable audio from camera A, audio from the mic input here, we can enable that on and off, as well as audio from HDMI B on off. And then over here we have quite a few buttons. It's been worn out. So here we have camera A, here we have camera B, and then here we have the picture-in-picture of A being the large and B being the small insert. And then this button here is the opposite. So we have B as the large camera and A as the insert. And if you were to simultaneously depress A and B at the same time, you can do a side-by-side picture on screen. And then over here we have a HDMI out full size, we have headphone jack out, and over here, because I've 3D printed a bracket, I might just undo that now. Let's go here. We have a USB Type-C port. This is to connect to the PC or other devices. It can read it as USB 2 or use USB 3. And then over here we have a dedicated USB-C port for power. So you can plug power into this unit and then feed power through to the PC cord, so it allows for pass-through charging. And that's pretty much it in terms of the actual unit itself. It's metal. It's a metal one. So here we have a 1/4 20 thread at the bottom, and we have a 1/4 20 thread on the top. And when in use, this device does get hot. So now what I've created is a 3D printed mold. This allows me to slide this onto the actual unit itself. And what I've created is channels so that USB Type-C cables can be inserted and prevent it from bending and thus causing any damage to the port or to the cable itself. So that's what I have 3D designed to sit onto here. Now this is just a clamp for some studio lighting or camera. I can't remember what it was for, but it's just a clamp. And then I've installed an L bracket, so that way then I can install it onto the actual switcher unit itself. And in the past I have clamped this onto my belt, my shoulder strap on my backpack, and then I was able to utilize my so I would wear a backpack. This then would clamp onto the shoulder strap, and then I would, if I wanted to change to camera A, I would physically push this button here. If I wanted to change to camera B, I'll push this button here. If I wanted to do a picture-in-picture, then I'll just select the appropriate corresponding buttons. So now that we've gone through the overview, let's now have a look at getting the two cameras connected and thus connecting it to a Samsung smartphone. So the cameras I'll be using is the Sony ZV-1 via a cabled HDMI, and the second camera is another Sony ZV-1, but this time we are utilizing a HDMI transmitter. Now I'm using this particular one because it allows for 1080p 60. So today's stream, or at least the current stream, I have configured OBS to be 1080p 60. So hopefully that comes across on stream, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, top down. So again, this is the IO Data LSU200. We'll be using this as a video switcher to tether directly into the Samsung S21Ultra. Now, as I mentioned, for the camera with a wireless transmission system, this here is the receiver system. So let's plug that in. Let's now plug in the cable from the stationary Sony ZV-1. All right, put that aside. Let's now connect a USB-C 3.0 cable. This will be for data and connecting into the phone. And then I will connect a cable for providing power to the unit as well as to the phone via the pass-through cable. All right, let's... How's that? Okay, cool. So here is the Samsung S21 Ultra. Let me now unlock it. Make sure no apps are running. Okay. Let's now connect the cable from the USB port of this switcher into the Samsung S21 Ultra. Dang it. Okay, this is going to be weird. So the phone now is receiving charge, and the input charging has raised from 3 watts to 10 watts. So now let's select USBCameraPro, and it has shown up on screen. I will now double check to see what the resolution this particular unit is providing. So here we have MJPEG 1080p at 60 frames per second. Now, both of the Sony cameras I'm using have been set to 1080p 60. The shutter speed has been set to 1/60. Now, I can quickly change the camera inputs using the physical buttons of this dual HDMI switcher. So right now this is camera A, which is the Sony ZV-1 that's cabled into the switcher unit directly. And then this here is the second Sony ZV-1 that's coming in over wireless HDMI as a 1080p video signal. And we can just quickly switch to camera A, camera B. Now, at the moment, there's no audio. If there was, this audio bar would be going up and down as I'm speaking. And that's because we haven't actually enabled any of the audio levels to be turned on. So we are just going to be utilizing camera A, which is the direct tethered camera of the Sony ZV-1. All right, let's now talk. And as you can see here, we have indicated levels of the camera A, and we also have audio levels displayed within the app itself. So now I will go into Bond Bunny. This now will automatically start and load up. And let me now just minimize the brightness so it can be shown on screen. So as you can see, we have a cellular connection, which is the internal SIM card, and then we have Wi-Fi. That's my home Wi-Fi. Now, I will get my iPhone and I will connect this iPhone to the home network, which is the same network that this Samsung phone is also connected to. All right, now I'm going to turn on Moblink, and as soon as I did that, the new red indicator has popped up, which is the Moblink from the iPhone sending its data to the Samsung phone. Now I've just locked the phone, and I'll just put this behind me. Now we have 3 internet connections: internal SIM card, home Wi-Fi, and the SIM card from the iPhone 17 connected to the same home Wi-Fi network. All right, we've got this configured. The service is running. So now let's go back to the USB Camera Pro. Now I'm going to push this to the IRL scene that I have in my PC. Right, I'll be back shortly. I'll just switch to that now. Okay, which camera are we looking at? Let me just switch over to the main camera first. Alright, so this here is the Sony ZV-1 connected via HDMI cable directly into the video switcher. This here is the Sony ZV-1 connected to a wireless HDMI transmission system, in which the receiver is connected to the camera B port of the video switcher. I just need to adjust the, yeah, okay, so a good indicator of whether or not we have a good smooth 60p video is the motion of the fan. And let me just readjust it on here. So looking on OBS, it does seem to be a smooth motion. I'll switch now back over to the first camera, and it does seem to be a smooth motion as well. Let me watch the preview. I can't really tell on the Twitch preview. $720-60 maybe. Okay. Now I'm going to intentionally change the USB Camera Pro output resolution from 60p to 30. That way you can see the difference between the two. But before I do, I might switch to a side-by-side. And now this is a side-by-side of both cameras being active. Now I'm going to do a clap test. There is a very noticeable visual delay. But if you were to go into each individual camera and just utilize one audio from the first camera, then it's not as noticeable. Let me activate tracking. Alright, so we've got tracking enabled on this particular camera. This is the Sony ZV-1 mounted on the Hohem MT2 mirrorless gimbal. And as you can see, we have tracking. Let me just adjust the saturation a little bit. Alright. And let me switch to dual setup, or dual screen. Oh, dual camera picture, sorry. And yeah, so when both of the scenes are up at the same time, shooting the same subject, the delay or latency is noticeable. But I guess if you're using two cameras, if you have a wide angle for one camera and then have a zoomed in shot for the other one, then that might be best to utilize at least both of these cameras at the same time without the noticeable delay, latency, lag between the two cameras. Now let's, what was I going to do? Something about 60p. Can't remember. Okay, so, oh yeah, I was going to intentionally switch from 60 frames per second to 30. So it shows what it looks like on stream. Okay, here we go. So this here is now a 30 FPS stream from the USB Camera Pro. And I don't know if you can tell, the fan blades look a little bit different. And then let's switch over to here. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell, the fan blades look a little bit different. And for some reason I've got tracking enabled. I think I did this. Alright, so now I'm going to lock the track. Let's switch over to here. Okay, now I'm going to again intentionally switch the video format from 30 frames per second back to 60 frames per second. And hopefully you guys can kind of see the difference between at least the fan spin. Or maybe not. Okay, shit. Alright, let's go AB. So this here is a picture-in-picture from camera A as the main and camera B as the small. And then this is now camera B as the large and camera A as the small. And we also have the ability to change the quadrant location of where this picture-in-picture is going to be situated. We can also change the sizing of this picture-in-picture as well. But this, I think, is a pretty good test. Although now, let me switch back up. Alright, I'm going to stop the stream from the USBCameraPro app, restart it again, and hopefully the fan blades motion will change. Alright, be back in a sec. Alright, I don't know if the 60 frames is actually proper. Am I getting... Yeah, so we are in a 60 frame workplace. Canvas, sorry. Yeah, right, let me attempt to stop and restart the app. Alright, so let's stop this push. Now go on to eject. Let's now close the app. Right, let's now reconnect the switcher into the Samsung S21Ultra. Let's now select USBCameraPro as the app. Now on the screen, it looks smooth as a 60p. Using this device via USB port. Oh. So it could be the cable. Hang on, let me just attempt to try and push. All right, let's now switch to the live. All right, let's check camera 2. And the fan spins are still very similar. Okay. I'll look for another USB-C cable. And hopefully it should be able to survive the majority of general wear and tear. So just seeing if that actually triggers something. Nothing? Good. Everything looks good. Can't help it, man. I can't help it. Yes, clip that and make it into a emote. I need emotes for my channel. Ooh. Hopefully that makes more sense. I've just turned the camera to try and get more of the lightning strikes in frame. Alright, we're back. Alright, we're back. Alright, so it looks as though also welcome in, monkey. It looks as though I don't think I'm able to get a proper .60p video signal, at least using this particular configuration. Because right now, I've only just noticed it as well. The LED indicator on the video switcher has switched to USB 2.0. So yeah, I didn't realize that until I actually saw it. So yeah, so that might be something in terms of limitations when using certain cables to this smartphone. When I try to use a more higher bandwidth cable, I was getting quite a few glitching on the app itself. So let me do I even have another one? I've got a few other USB cables, but whether or not they're quotation marks compatible, Right, let's eject. Okay, let's get this here plugged in. Then the other side. Yep, so we've connected it and it's unfortunately switched back to USB 2.0. So it might mean that at least with this cabling configuration may lead to black screen or poor. Yep. So maybe with this configuration, even though it displays it as a 60 frame per second image on the phone, when streaming to OBS, it doesn't look 60p. Yeah, damn. But at least we're testing it, so we can figure that using this particular configuration with a smartphone will generate a 30 frame per second image. Now, what I will do now is connect the original HDMI adapter that I was using this afternoon and see if the 60 frame per second stream does actually push through. Alright, let's get that down. Yeah, so for 30 frames per second with dual camera mode, that you're able to switch using physical buttons. This is a possible procedure that you're able to utilize. Now, let me switch to the main. Now, the main purpose of me testing out this equipment is for those users who are unable to get a belabox encoder or do not want to have to get into the iPhone environment or ecosystem, but they still want to utilize their Android-based devices. This is something that you could utilize if you wish to do IRL live streaming. Is use an Android device along with a few different apps and yeah, move on. Alert sound, I would probably recommend using another smart device solely for reading chat and getting your alerts. I think trying to do too many apps on the one smartphone might cause it to not work as correctly. So earlier today when I was eating in the car, I tried to play music on the phone. However, as soon as I increased the volume on the phone in order to hear the music, it also played the audio back from the camera through the phone speaker. So it was sort of echoing and causing just a bit of drama, at least to my ears. I was able to listen back and hear myself talk monitoring while at the same time hear the music. So because of the monitoring audio being active, that will also be picked up by the mic and then it will continue down an infinite loop. So yeah, I think the best way using a Bluetooth speaker for alert sounds and TTS is just to use a different smart device altogether and just have the Android device purely for encoding the video. All right, let's now see if we can connect this SV1 directly into a capture unit and then plugging that into the smart device. All right, we have it connected. Let's now go into the video format, MJPEG 1080p 30. Let's now bump it to 60. And on the phone itself, the fan looks smooth. On the LCD screen of the Sony ZV-1, it looks the exact same motion we can see on screen. So now let's begin the push from the smartphone to Bon Bunny, then into the belabox cloud. All right, this now should be the incoming video feed from the Sony ZV-1 plugged directly into the USB HDMI capture device using USBCameraPro to push out a stream, hopefully at 1080p 60. But I can't really tell. I can't really tell either via OBS or via the Twitch preview. So it needs to be set audio monitor only and mute output. If there is a way to do that, Alright, so if we go into let me increase the volume from the smart device. So as soon as you increase the volume, the monitoring will then start a feedback loop. So if we go into the cog wheel, we go into audio output routing, built-in speaker, built-in earpiece, built-in speaker, telephony. I don't know what any of these are. So let's push it to here, close. And now let's increase the audio again from the smartphone. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, okay, cool. But again, the point of being able to hear the audio is to make sure your configuration and your systems are actually working. So I'll just leave it at default for now. Yeah, let me now switch back to this live scene and live. Let me reset the saturation. Okay. So this, I think, is a 60 frame per second video. All right, now let me purposefully change the USB Camera Pro app from 60 frames per second to 30. All right, let's now go into the 3 dots. Let's go to video format. Now let's change the frame rate from 60 to 30. Push OK. And now let's switch back to the live. All right, this is the Sony ZV-1 connected into the capture device, which is then being fed into the USBCameraPro app, which is then pushing out to the Bon Bunny. I think it seems a bit stuttery, maybe. So this scene right now is 30 frames per second. Alright. Let's now switch to 60 frames. Okay. I can't tell the difference. Unfortunately, I cannot tell the difference. How can we determine what the incoming ingest is? I don't know if there's a way. Yeah, I don't actually know if there's a way. Let me try the other camera and see if there's any difference. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what. I actually don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that was even 60p. There's really no way for me to determine that. Where's that USB cable? Oh, okay, let me give that a go. Let me... Ah, okay. Maybe, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere Ira whatever I think has limited its stream to 30p as well. Okay, that's not charging. So if we were to close down this app, eject. Let's also close down Bond Bunny because IRL whatever also already has SRT-LA incorporated into it as well. So we'll just double check no open apps. Okay, let's now go to IRL whatever. top down. Okay, so this is IRA whatever. Now, in order to add a new scene, we need to go to scenes. We need to edit a scene. We need to now create a new scene. Let's call this HDMI create. We'll now select USB camera. And okay, there is a setting here for 60. So let's save that. Let's now go into connection. Or no, these are the SRT protocols. Video. So resolution and frame, we can't go higher than 60. Within the IRL app, you can't go higher than 60. So I don't know what to do there. Oh, Moblink. Okay, there you go. Let's go back out. Let's now connect this phone to this USB capture device. And then we will go, you allow IRA whatever to access this particular one? Yes. Now I will plug in the cable from the camera. And we now go to scenes. Where's the scenes? HDMI. Okay. Why isn't it showing? So that's the front facing camera. This is the rear facing camera. So we are in scenes. And then we need to select. Okay. So it's 60 frames save. Save. Alright, let's go to selfie, which is the front facing camera. Let's now go to HDMI. So here we have the HDMI camera. Right, let's just bring this up, have a look at the fan. Now the fan on the LCD screen of the camera looks quite smooth, where the fan on the IRA whatever screen looks a little bit more choppy. But we can give this a go and go start, SRT-LA. So yeah, this is something that has happened in the past, where once you hit start, it just kills the HDMI input. Let me go into the live. Yep, the app just crashed. So yeah. All right, let's try live streamer. Let's go to USB source. Let's allow live streamer to detect the GURMOC adapter. Let's go to video format. 60. Okay. Now sometimes the video doesn't show up as well. Bit of a bummer. Select device, the GURMOC. Connect USB camera. It's connected. What are you talking about? Allow. Yes, allow. Let's go to video format. 1080p 60M JPEG. Go back out. But now it doesn't show up. So again, this has been mentioned within the live streamer Discord. It is a bit finicky. Certain capture devices work well with certain apps. But being Android, it is hard to what's the word? Hard to test everything. So yeah, I need to close this down. So this is the one gripe that I have with Live Streamer is that it doesn't close down automatically. So let's give IRL whatever another crack. No, some users I can read within the OBS chat window, but it doesn't show up in Stream Elements. Even if I refresh the overlay, it still doesn't show up as an overlay or within the Stream Elements overlays. Give me a sec. Right, I've just refreshed the Stream Elements overlay. Yeah, it still shows up. You heard Stream Elements. Yeah, Stream Elements was shutting down and then it wasn't. So I don't know. I'll keep using it as long as I can. All right, so the IRL whatever, we've just reconnected everything again. So let's go OK. Let's now select the HDMI scene. Nothing. Yep. It just, yeah. We'll just check to see if IRL whatever actually closes. Yep, it's closed. Okay. So the only other app that's actually quite stable is USBCameraPro. The shopping doesn't stop. I don't think I've got CameraFire Live, to be honest. So the reason why I'm using the apps that I'm using is because these apps don't require a sign-in or login. You just download them and use them. CameraFire Live requires some form of a login, like Prism, like Streamer Labs, like a few other apps that are dedicated for IRL streaming. Some of those all require some form of a login. Now I know that some users don't want to do that. Some users are fine using that. So I'm just utilizing apps that essentially don't require login, minimal fees or subscriptions, or a one-time purchase. So yeah. Although CameraFire Live does have the ability to ingest HDMI cameras. So I don't know if I actually have that. They'll be under streaming. So I've got USBCameraPro, Larix, Prism. Yeah, I don't have CameraFire Live. You're just waiting for the prices of single board computers to yep. So yeah, this configuration I'm playing around with. So for those users who already own an Android compatible device, can still utilize it in a way where we can kind of replicate a video encoder or a belabox encoder. That's my understanding at the present moment, is an attempt to try and utilize existing equipment to act somewhat as a video encoder. So early today I did a test using the Sony X3000, my Samsung S21Ultra, this HDMI captured unit, and we were able to utilize another app called, this app called USBCameraPro, which ingests the HDMI capture, And then we use another app called Bond Bunny, which has the ability to push an SRT LA stream, which allows us to connect at least 2 other connections into the Samsung S21 Ultra. Now, a recent update in the Bond Bunny app has now allowed for Moblink to be utilized within the Android environment. So I've also tested that out today as well. So this Samsung S21 Ultra was able to connect to the internal SIM card as a internet connection. It was able to connect to a Wi-Fi hotspot, and that was from my travel modem. And it was able to connect to Moblink, in which was being provided from my iPhone 17e, which was connected to the same travel router of the modem. That is how it was able to utilize 3 internet connections, 2 of which were over Wi-Fi. So yeah, that test earlier today I think went okay. Magic Box, Missingo, welcome in. It's a bit late for you, right? This is just a two channel HDMI switcher, which connects via USB 3 or 2.0. So the entire point of this particular configuration, today's stream, is to utilize an Android device to push out an SRT LA stream to the belabox cloud. That's all that I am configuring this to be, is to utilize a HDMI capture device that plugs into a Samsung S21 Ultra. The Samsung S21 Ultra is utilizing 2 apps. One is the USBCameraPro, which is receiving the HDMI camera feed. And the second app is Bond Bunny. So what this allows us to do is to bond multiple internet connections and then push out an SRT LA stream. And as you can see, that red connection popped up. That was from an iPhone running Moblink. So with a more recent update for the Bond Bunny app, Moblink is now integrated into that. So now we can utilize any smartphone with Moblin or Moblink in order to share its internet connection over Wi-Fi to the main device that's pushing out a stream. If you think about how much ahead IRL streaming is, bonding multiple interconnections and streaming while Telstranet goes down and businesses lose business because that's why I've got 3 SIM cards, all from different cellular carriers. So, and I wasn't actually streaming that day either. So, yeah, would not have been affected by me. And my home internet is on TPG, which is a separate thing to Telstra. So I wasn't affected by any way, shape, or form from that Telstra outage. But yes, so we have 2 internet connections already part of the smartphone, the SIM card, as well as the home Wi-Fi network, and the red is the Moblink connection. So we can now start the stream from the USBCameraPro app on a smartphone, and I need to switch to welcome in. Ooh, Diggy. Oh, good lord. App, but the Twitch app generally previews the stream very smoothly. Sorry. Okay, I just did a couple of head bobs. I am testing out these two devices. On the left we have the Pocket 3 along with its RTMP stream. On the right we have the Action 4 connected to a DJI Mobile 7P gimbal with the tracking module enabled as well. So let me just cover the Action 4 so you can see it black out on screen, and then I'll cover the Pocket 3. So Pocket 3 and a poor man's Pocket 3 with tracking. Lloyd. Milk, please. Bless. I hope everyone has a good night or good morning or good evening, wherever you may be. I will be probably streaming tomorrow again. Probably don't know what I'll be streaming though, but we'll see. Alright, hope everyone has a good night or good afternoon or good morning, and I'll catch you on the next stream. Thank you, Wigman. Okay, weird. This thing worked literally 5 minutes ago, and I haven't changed anything since. So live push. How that never changed. Let me check. SRT localhost 6000. All right, let me check. Could that be the issue? High performance render. Let's turn that off. Use MJPEG bypass. Okay, cool. Now let's go to manager 127.0.0.1. That's local IP. Yes, that should be it. Why isn't it pushing anymore? Okay, let me... Okay, this now should be the stream coming in from the Sony ZV-1, which is connected via a HDMI capture device plugged into the USBCameraPro app, which is then pushing an SRT stream into Bon Bunny. Then Bon Bunny is then pushing that as an SRT LA stream. Can you explain once again how to setting the SRT from USB Pro to Bon Bunny? Hang on, where are we? Have you heard of OpenMP TCP bonding? I've heard about it. Haven't ventured into that yet. The nice people from India keep telling me about your Telstra Internet IP public. Yeah, that's true. Can you explain once again how to setting the SRT from USBCameraPro to Bond Bunny? Okay, so Bond Bunny, you just have to download it and check which ports you're using. It might be easier to draw. Okay, where's that piece of paper? Okay, let's... Okay, so this is... Okay, so we have a HDMI camera that then is fed into a HDMI USB capture device, and this has a USB power delivery port. That then is connected into the S21Ultra via the USB-C port. Now within the S21Ultra, we are running the USBCameraPro app. We are then taking the HDMI video feed and then pushing a SRT stream. Now we also have a second app called Bond Bunny. Now what this is doing is receiving the SRT stream from the Camera Pro app and then pushing it to an SRTLA, which we're able to then bond internet bonding. And it also has the additional feature of having Moblink, which then we can add more connections to the bonding as well. So yeah, HDMI camera into a capture device, which is then plugged into the S21Ultra. And then within the S21Ultra, we are running the USBCameraPro app, as well as the Bond Bunny app. Within the Camera Pro app, we are pushing a standard SRT stream into Bond Bunny. So the trick here is we have a stream ID, okay? This is important. So the stream ID is part of your belabox cloud. Now, originally I thought you would have to put the stream ID into Bond Bunny. No, you put it into the SRT stream here. That then carries over and publishes it, and then Bond Bunny publishes it to that stream ID. So let me just put this to the side so I can actually see it. So the address you need to push out within the USBCameraPro app is SRT and then 1, 2, 7.0.0.1.6,000 and then question mark stream ID equals that string from the belabox cloud stream ID. So that gets pushed into Bond Bunny, and then Bond Bunny then pushes this as an SRT-LA stream. So you would need to enter in the stream ID within the Camera Pro app and not the Bond Bunny app. The Bond Bunny Moblink. So let me just stop this. Oh, hang on. Let me. Right, I've stopped the push. All right. So, in order to enable Moblink, you need to go into Settings, and then enable Moblink. And then if you want to add a password or not, you can then add it into here. So as default, it's disabled. So you need to go into Settings and then Moblink Streamer Server, enable. And then create a password for you to then enter into whatever devices that has your Moblink app or Moblin app, and then just paste, and then copy and paste over the password that you created within Bond Bunny. Yes, okay. And then another thing that I've also enabled is to auto start when this app turns on. You understand how to push from Bond Bunny to belabox and add Moblink, but you're still confused? Okay, so here, USBCameraPro app, we are pushing a stream to this address. This address is within the Bond Bunny app. So I will. So here is the USBCameraPro app. We go into Settings. We go into Settings. Okay. Now, you need to go through and figure out what you want to enable and disable, but you will eventually need to scroll all the way down till you see RTMP SRT Settings Manager. Now, I'm just going to quickly have a look what's in there. Oh shit, yeah, luckily I didn't show that up. All right, so within the manager, the RTMP SRT Settings Manager, you need to add. Then from here, we'll create a title. Then you will need to enter in the URL, and then you will need to enter in the stream ID, and then push add. Okay, luckily, hopefully that didn't show anything. That won't work. That definitely won't work. What was I doing there? Yeah, so once you have created a stream link, then you are ready to push a stream from USBCameraPro app to Bond Bunny. Now to do that, while in the front screen, once you connect your device to the USBCameraPro app, and then do whatever you need to do here. I'll just double check the video format, MJPEG 60p. Then, once you're ready to push this stream to Bond Bunny, and then Bond Bunny will automatically push to the SRT-LA. So once you configure Bond Bunny, that's it. You don't have to configure it again. You just have to turn it on every time you want to push from USBCameraPro to Bond Bunny. So you've got everything configured, everything's ready to go. So you click on the 3 lines here, then you click on the live push, and then select the SRT address that you've just created using this address. So I'll just select my SRT stream, and for some fucking reason it doesn't want to work, and it worked literally 5 minutes ago. All right, let's yeah, okay, Bond Bunny isn't turned on. Okay, that's why. So let me turn on Bond Bunny. Okay, now go back to USBCameraPro, live push, local SRT. I should actually change that to Bond Bunny SRT. And now if I go to my live scene, this now should be the Sony ZV-1 connected via HDMI to the HDMI capture device. So this, again, this is a configuration for those users who don't want to utilize the iOS, iPhone, iPad infrastructure, or who already own an Android device but don't have the budget to purchase an iOS devices, as well as unable to acquire the recommended single board computers such as the Jetson Nanos, the Orange Pi 5 Plus, the Rock 5A from Radza, as well as the Radza Rock 5B Plus. Yes, so for SRT, you need to select the HEFC codec and then your video settings. Oh. Okay, that might be something that I didn't actually do on the USBCameraPro app. Okay, let me stop the push. Okay. Yeah, this isn't a strong USB connection, so we'll just wait for that to load. Okay, so go into settings again. Then we need to scroll down to UVC device. No, that should be fine. MJPEG bypass, EasyCap, MP4 format, HEFC. What's this? Recording. Okay, don't worry about the recording. Server, SRT format. We select HEFC plus AAC. Then encoder settings. This is the H.264 section. This here is the HEFC section. I've set a video bitrate for HEFC at 7 which is equivalent to 7,000 kilobits per second. So let's go back there. Okay, that might be it. So I think setting the resolution is from the video format settings within the original menu drop down, and not within settings itself. So let's device info. Okay, that's fine. So let's go to video format. We can select what format: MJPEG, UE2. Resolution. It can apparently go up to 4K, but I'm not pushing that. And frame rate up to 60. So if I go to the UV and then see if we're able to select that. So now we've changed the format, but I am getting drops in terms of the frames per second. So it's now 46 frames per second, 37 frames per second, 52. So it's inconsistent. So I'm going to switch back to MJPEG. And yep, push OK. And now we have a frames per second rate that is relatively at 60 frames per second. It does drop to like 57, 53, but it's relatively consistent at 60 frames per second. So yeah. So this is just using the single HDMI capture device. Again, with the ability to add charging via the USB-C port of this capture device. So we can now provide charge. Right now the smartphone's at 84%. Let's now plug in this cable. And we should now have an icon. So now we are charging. Right now the USB power delivery is at 7 watts. It should be higher. To be honest, it should be higher, but at least we are receiving charge into the smartphone itself, so that's no biggie there. As long as your phone is, at least as long as all your equipment is fully charged, then you might be able to have a more prolonged runtime for the entire configuration that you have. Yeah. So with using a single HDMI capture device, we're able to get consistent 60 FPS. Whether or not that shows on stream is another question. All the settings that I have configured on the USBCameraPro app does state it is pushing a 60 frame per second stream. Unsure whether or not how to check that as a ingest on OBS, because it's coming in as a media watch through the SRT LA cloud. Yeah. So you would set the HEFC codec, and then you would set, or within the SRT stream settings, you need to set it as HEFC. You need to then set your bitrate that you want to use, and then you should be ready to go. So there's maybe 4 things that you need to do, 5 things maybe. Is first of all, set your video format to whatever resolution and frame per second you want. Set the SRT stream to HEFC, as well as whatever bitrate you want. And then within the stream manager, add the local SRT address along with the stream ID as part of the belabox cloud endpoint relay server. Divini? Yes, I believe the DJ or Insta 3. Wait, which one? I know another user within the group has been able to connect the Insta360 X4 into Moblin? Oh, I don't know about that one. So the Insta360 X4, they were using a belabox encoder. So as a Moblin, let me have a look. Insta360 X4. Does the Insta360 have RTMP streaming for live streaming or no? Insta360. Let's see. Ace Pro 2. Which one's that one? I'm not familiar with that particular model, so just give me a second. The Insta360 Ace Pro, does it do RTMP streaming? So according to Google AI, the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 allows you to live stream via RTMP. You will need your phone paired with the camera and your chosen platform's stream URL and settings. So you would need to use the Insta360 app to initiate the RTMP live stream and then hop back over to Moblin. I know that with the DJI app, the old way, once you start the RTMP stream, you can then close the app out. But I'm not sure if that is a possibility for the Insta360s. But according to the manual, how to connect... Oh, wait, that's the Ace Pro Pocket. Okay. Let me see what we can see. You can live stream the Insta360 Pro 2. Is that the same? Let me look. Let me look at the manual. Insta360 Pro 2. Oh, that's not the Ace. What does the Ace look like? The Ace Pro. Okay, that looks completely different to what I'm seeing right now on stream. So, unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that question, Davini. So, yeah. Wait. Huge new feature. Mobile live streaming is here with the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. Live stream on YouTube, Ace Pro 2. Okay, this is a direct. So, according to this, you can live stream, but it's only direct to the YouTube app. Ooh. So, update the firmware. Download the Insta360 app. Live. Ah, okay. So, technically, yes, but they've only allowed Douyin, which I think is TikTok, and YouTube. So that there isn't a way to do a custom RTMP stream. At the present moment, unfortunately. Yeah, so this is just looking online that I'm able to find. So to stream direct to Moblin, oof. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Yeah, sorry about that. The Ace Pro. Can it do... But then that... Can it do HDMI? Let's have a look. The Insta360 Ace Pro 2 does not support HDMI video output. You cannot connect it. Oh, there's a webcam mode. Okay, let's have a look. What are you using for Moblin? Are you using it on an iPhone or are you using it on an iPad? Because apparently you can connect the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 as a webcam using USB-C cable. So in a webcam mode scenario, yes. But then how would you bring it into Moblin? Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer at all, so I do apologize about that, Dimini. Oof. Oof, okay. It is currently midnight here in my neck of the woods, so I am going to call it a night. Let me check to see. I haven't raided anyone in a while, but because no one's usually up while I'm here, so let's have a quick squiz and see if there's anyone sort of in the same... No, there's no one here. Okay. All right, there. So unfortunately, there's no one that's available to raid. Yeah. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in today and watched me test out some new... it's not really new equipment, but another rig in order to do IRL live streaming with a HDMI camera. A few kinks here and there, but I think that has everything to do with the settings that I have everything set on. Raid a stranger. Ooh, stranger danger. CFB, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Raiding a stranger. All right, let's see. Yeah. Whom should we look for? Category IRL? Oh, tag. Let's look for tags, because there's actually a few people that I've seen with okay, did that not work? Moblin. There we go. No worries, Andy. You're a bad influence. Bad. Ooh, it's not even English. Okay, can't do that one. Let's... Australia? At this time? It's almost... Yeah. Noit. I have no idea. I have no idea. Similar and small sizes. Well, there's this person, Iro Manila, back in the Philippines. Let's rate this person, Rube ROT. I'm following this person, so I just can't remember why. Maybe IRL. That's probably why. That's probably the reason why I'm following that person. IRL. Right, let's give this person a raid. Again, thank you to everyone who has tuned in today. I'll probably try and attempt to do more tinkering maybe tomorrow, or technically today. So, yeah. All right, let's unable to raid. Oh my God. I spent all that time. Why unable to raid? Unless they blocked it. You know what? No, it's fine. Okay, let's. Where are we? English? Yeah, yeah. Because the last couple times I did raid into new people, it didn't turn out so great. So, it turned out to be not as what I expected. But thank you nonetheless. All right, I'm gonna call it. Yeah, I'm gonna call it. What happened? Oh, it just said unable to raid. But all good. The last time. The Oh wait, I've lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. What was I talking about? The last raid. Yes. So we raided into someone at a request from a chatter, and it was weird because when we raided into that person who was doing IRL, right? I think they were in Singapore. The raid went through, and then the dude said, I forgot to turn off raid. And then he proceeded to turn off raid. And then he's like, I forgot. And then when we all tried to type to say hello, it said you have to be subscribed in order to type in chat. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then the person who suggested to raid into that person, because they were already subscribed and they already had points, they used chatter points in order to put their message into their stream. And then the person's like, that's kind of, that's kind of a rude way to circumvent this chat prevention. And so he then proceeded to disable that particular channel point redeem, right? And then, because, I was powering everything down, so I just decided to continue watching. And then literally 10 minutes later, during that person's stream, he was walking around buying food, and then he sat down on a table, and then he said a question to chat, but no one can answer because he locked down chat and he locked down that channel point reward redeem in order to display a message. So it's like, are you serious? Exactly. And then it's like, because I was still sticking around, and there was another member from the same raid also stuck around watching, because we were both interested in the IRL, so we wanted to know what they were using, but we weren't able to ask a question. And the person sat down. He then did something, started eating, and then he asked a question to chat, but no one could answer. So I don't know if he was fucked in the head without realizing that he's fucked in the head, you know, because he was the one, the IRL streamer was the one that implemented no, you have to be subscribed in order to chat. And then he also disabled the Twitch channel point redeems to display a message. So then he then asked a question expecting an answer, but no one answered because no one could answer. Even his own followers who already racked up all these points aren't able to answer because he disabled that channel point reward. Oh, we're all fucked in the head. But this was a person who was streaming himself being fucked in the head, all right? So there's a streamer I follow. You often accidentally send his stream to emote only. Yeah, so I start spamming emotes. Yeah, I think I need to, because I did get bot rated the last time I was in Sydney, and it was a weird interaction. Literally, a person came up, asked about if I was streaming, how I was streaming, and then it's like, oh yeah, no worries, asked for my username, and then walked away. And then literally less than 2 minutes later, boom, bot rated. Bot followed. One of your favorites is to be able to word boods with several different emotes. Damn, you must have a backlog of ready emotes. But anyways, okay. Again, thank you to everyone who has tuned in, and I will probably do. You know what? Yeah, I'll do another stream tomorrow. So yeah, I need to make more YouTube videos. So might as well. Might as well. Okay, I appreciate everyone being here. I really do, and thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you may be. And I will catch you guys later. Okay, bye. Boobs.
I knew you'd say that.
Hello, ladies.